Radar Update. My name is Daniel Vallis from InformedChristians.com, a website ministry devoted to discerning current events from a Christian and biblical perspective. Special thank you to all those who keep sending in links and news of interest that you find. I greatly appreciate it. It is great when we can collaborate and work together and share what we find to gain a better understanding of the times. Also, I've been having some incredible technical difficulty this week and also some health issues, so that's why I haven't been publishing some videos lately. But just keep me in prayer and this ministry in prayer. Thank you for all those who support this ministry. It helps keep the lights on, and also for your prayers. I definitely need strength and wisdom. So again, I greatly appreciate your help. This is a warning, but it is not a prediction. Now, I was just outside. It's a little nippy here in Alabama right now, but I took some beautiful pictures of the moon and Jupiter as they're close together right now. I'm not the best photographer at night, but it turned out pretty good. It's amazing to see and just look up into the night sky and see the celestial signs up there. And that's what signs are. They're meant to be seen. Tonight's when they'll be the closest, but they'll still be close somewhat tomorrow night as well. And we've been looking at different celestial signs and time frames on our map. And like I've said multiple times before, we have a high watch window between the triumphal entry and Passover. Kind of that time period. There's a lot of symbolism in that time period. And we know we are sealed unto the day of redemption, and Passover is called the day of redemption. And then we've looked at the verses about the spring and come away. So this whole window between what is commonly referred to as Palm Sunday, the triumphal entry, and Passover, a high watch window right there. And of course, we've looked at enemy action, how they seem to know something is very significant about this time. We've talked about the PlayStation game, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, and even their previous game, Dear Esther, and how it seems to be a reference to the two mirror events of Esther at this time period too as well. And then we also talked about Leo and the silver and gold gates and the gods of Egypt, the incredible messaging that just the enemy alone has been doing. And we should always consider enemy action as circumstantial evidence. It does not stand by itself. It is only circumstantial. What we stand on is biblical sources of the celestial signs that we are told to look for, and in context of everything else prophetic that we've been looking at too as well, with the last generation, the calls for peace and safety, and so much more. And when we see that strong foundation based on the Bible, and then we see the enemy action as well, we should not be ignorant of what they're up to, but we must realize that our determination rests on the strong weights, not the circumstantial evidence. So whenever considering prophetic events or things of the future, always rest on sound evidence and biblical sources as your primary source. Do not rest your future and your decision on circumstantial, non-biblical sources. We can consider that, but we must always keep it in the compartment of circumstantial evidence. Always seek the strongest evidence, and that will always come from what the Bible is going to be pointing us to, especially in light of prophetic events. And we talked about Leo with his gold and silver Oscars before. He actually received it 4 days ago. But this weekend, Saturday, March the 19th, is when it was announced on social media and they made a little to-do about it. Which is interesting because that was the weekend of Palm Sunday, effectively from the 19th to 20th. So it's very interesting that they made a big to-do of that, which they had pointed out earlier in this time frame, pointing it out now as well. Again, a reference to the gold and silver gates, and they're tying it to entering gates again. And we're going to see several important events happen on what is commonly called Palm Sunday, the triumphal entry, because Satan knows this is the time too as well. And it's interesting to see how he is messaging his disciples to be alert and to be ready. They know this is the time, and they also know which calendar is correct. It's not the rabbinical calendar. It's not a calendar that depends on plants either. The Bible tells us, the very first page in the Bible, that our years and months are determined by the celestial signs in the heavens, the sun and the moon. That is what determines a year. That's what determines months. So when considering prophetic events and prophecy, we must always look at the truest biblical calendar that we can find. And Satan knows the celestial events are very strong right now. On the 20th, tickets also started going on sale for a Broadway show called Bright Star which is opening on the 24th, which is still effectively Passover. So they're highlighting this very important time frame, the exact same time frame that we're looking at right now with a high watch window. They're pointing to it as well with bright star. And of course, Lucifer, the Bible tells us he's the son of the morning. He will pass himself off as an angel of light, and he tries to pretend that he's the morning star, but he's not the morning star. We've talked about that before, and it's in our booklet as well. But this came out on Broadway the same day as the triumphal entry through the gate there as well. And I talk about how it's a story of redemption. Here right in this Passover window, the day of redemption. And the main character is Alice. Very suspicious. And it's a journey to understand her past. And we've seen so many references the past few months and over the year of Alice and time and going down the rabbit hole and the messing with time. So very poignant that this comes out right now in this window. Bright star with Alice. And of course, that reminds us of the Alice Through the Looking Glass, which is coming up soon and has been promoted heavily. And it's all about going through doorways. And Lucifer, of course, too as well. And reminds us of Alice from CERN. We've talked about that in our Time CERN of the Bible video. So that's going on at this exact same time as well. But then also on the Palm Sunday weekend, the 19th and 20th, which the triumphal entry covers, if you look at American politics, you'll notice that the major candidates, Trump, Sanders, and the Clintons, all went to the same place on this weekend. They all went to Phoenix. Very suspicious. And we've talked before how the phoenix is equated to the palm tree. Even in the Bible, the palm tree represents the phoenix and vice versa because you can cut down a palm tree and it will come back again. So when all these candidates are going to Phoenix, Arizona, it's a double message. Number one, it's about the phoenix. But on this very important day, Palm Sunday, quote unquote, they're all going to basically the palm. They're going to Phoenix. And we talked about the seal on the dollar bill, how that is a phoenix on the American dollar bill. It's all by design. America is meant to be a phoenix. It's meant to be destroyed by its own quote-unquote rulers. There's a phoenix on the seal, and we've talked about in our videos, A Season is a Reason, talking about December 25th. We talk about how even the Bible alludes to the palm tree and how the occult, even way back then, makes reference to the palm tree as a phoenix picture. And we also talked about how some of the early versions of the American seal, they blatantly had a blatant phoenix on there. And some earlier sketches, which I don't have a picture of, they also suggested having a palm tree on there as well. Barton with his committee for Congress. And I've said it before, America is the phoenix. The system is Phoenix. The American ship is being scuttled on purpose. And this is why I've said months ago, do not pay any attention to the political circus. Don't listen to the debates. It's pointless. They're all following their script. They're all doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's all a staged script. And we talked about months ago how Trump has this big affinity for Apollo in Greek mythology. And even in his flat, he has huge paintings of Apollo and his sun chariot, Prometheus, the fire bearer, which is Lucifer, right in his house. And we also talked about how they made a big emphasis on the watches and time with Trump as well. So then it shouldn't surprise us that during the same Palm Sunday weekend, the news came out, oh, Trump's sister, she received a threatening letter in Philadelphia. And she happens to sit on the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. This is a very interesting reminder. It's an allusion and it's a warning. It reminds us of the letter to the church in Philadelphia, which is found in chapter 3 of Revelation. Satan is sending out warnings to his disciples, and we've covered this many times before. He's getting them ready for the rapture, when Philadelphia and Smyrna are going to be raptured away. All this is happening on the true Palm Sunday by the biblical calendar that we've been looking at. On the rabbinical calendar, they're way off because they're using something else to determine their years. And just so happens this year that the Gregorian calendar lines up with the biblical calendar. I think that's on purpose. So on this Palm Sunday, triumphal entry day, there's the push for the Silver Gate. There's about the Broadway Bright Star, the Phoenix. And then over in Spain, and this was trending heavily on social media, opera singer rocks out to AC/DC's Highway to Hell on Spain's Got Talent. And this came out this weekend and is pushed in the media and made a big deal of. And of course, the group that put it together is AC/DC, and that's a hint at the duality. And even in the talent show, big emphasis on the star in the word talent, bright star. We've looked at other emphasis that the enemy's really been pushing star during this time, a shining star, and the North Korea shining star, and the twilight's last gleaming. So a very heavy laden weekend on the triumphal entry time. But that's not all. Over the weekend, there was also a big push on social media and Facebook and other social media about how Seiko, the watch company, the time company, had made a Goldberg machine using 1,200 watch parts. And you'll notice the picture that Facebook used to promote this trending event is the watchtower, the Seiko watchtower, which instantly harkens to the Illuminati card game Combined Disasters. Very interesting reference at this time. And the clock tower also resembles a gate on the same day as the triumphal entry. And when we watch the video, though, one interesting thing that catches our attention is an emphasis on heart. There's actually two emphases on heart. They picture the transplant of a watch's beating heart and getting it going, in addition to a more iconic heart as well. And this instantly reminded us of Alice through the looking glass yet again, with the Queen of Hearts, and the big emphasis they've been making on hearts, which pictures coming from the heart of the earth, coming out of the bottomless pit. And even the Alice trailer makes a big emphasis on Goldberg-type devices and made out of watch parts. Very interesting connection. And of course, it's all about clocks and time, and the manipulation of time, going backwards in time. But if you watch the video to the very end, they pull back and you see the table where they've been set up at, and they make an allusion to the solar eclipse and also the black sun again on a giant watch. But it also instantly reminds us of the Rapture game, which also emphasized that, and of course David Bowie's Black Star as well. Very timely that all these are coming out right on the triumphal entry day. Satan knows what time it is, and he knows gates are about to be opened. He knows there's about to be Phoenix. He knows sudden destruction is about to come. The Bible warns us about it, and we must remember that that is still hanging in the air, so to speak, as the elephant in the room that we must not forget. And while we do not know the day or hour, we do know the time, and that we are running out of time. So in the days and hours ahead, let us run with patience. Let us watch. Let us be ready. The celestial signs appear as though they're wrapping up, but they're still affecting over several days. So again, the high watch window is between the triumphal entry and Passover. So we will continue to watch. Serve Christ, first and highest above all else. Maranatha.